1.
I'm Mike Panciocco.
I'm Ben Fiske.
I'm Sam Frtiz.
I'm Ben Seiff, and this is the New Innovations in Infrastructure.
Today I'll be talking about new innovations in materials, more specifically. As you know, in construction, every year costs are increasingly rising from year to year, mostly due to inflation and scheduling issues. These new innovative materials that I'll be focusing on should be implemented on job sites to lessen financial burden as the years progress. New innovative materials also contribute to longer lasting and more durable construction projects, as well as being environmentally friendly alternatives that will be implemented soon. Next slide. The first innovative material I'll be discussing is self-healing concrete. There's two forms of self-healing concrete: autogeneous and autonomous self-healing concrete. Autogeneous is really for small cracks, very limited use, very quick repairs. Autonomous is for larger cracks and splits in the concrete that will actually heal themselves together and to provide like a quick seal to those cracks. This picture on the right is a picture of a form of bacterial self-healing concrete. Bacterial self-healing concrete consists of spores of calcium nutrients containing healing agents that are added to concrete mixing during the mixing. And once the concrete breaks, the bacteria activates from exposure to air and absorbs the calcium nutrients inside those black spores to form limestone that eventually fills in the cracks and strengthens the concrete. Self-healing concrete is far less maintenance, thus saving time and money. Cracks can occur from expansion cracks, plastic shrinkage, shear, and corrosion, as well as weather and thermal, as well, and faulty design. The lifespan of self-healing concrete is approximately 200 years, while conventional concrete is almost, at most, is 100 years. So it's it lasts a lot longer and is far more durable. Next slide. Secondly is recycled materials. This is pretty basic. Recycling materials such as steel, concrete, rubber, and lumber are being more commonly used on projects. Steel is actually the world's most recycled construction material. 40% of all steel production is based on recycled scrap steel. 500 million tons of steel is recycled per year worldwide. That's equivalent to 180 Eiffel Towers. Recycling steel also leaves no residue to contaminate project sites. The steel is being used more. Thus, steel is being used more due to its eco-friendly characteristics. Recycled steel offers 19% reduction in CO2 as well. It's also very cost-effective as well as environmentally friendly. As you can see on the right, this is from the Galvanizing Organization. This is the table of steel use. So 93% of structural steel sections are being recycled, 7 are being reused, and 0 end up in landfill, as well as purlins and rails. Only 2% ends up in landfill, which is a very low percentage, which is obviously going to get lower as years go on. Next slide. The next innovative material I'll be discussing is thermomechanically treated rebar. This is steel rebar subjected to high temperatures repeatedly, thus making the rebar itself stronger and more durable with the amount of carbon that is in the steel bars. This also, they attain max yield strength. They're also very highly ductile and malleable in nature. Greatly used in places prone to natural disasters such as earthquakes and intense heat. The higher the yield strength then it's a higher yield strength than regular steel rebar, thus reduces the area of reinforcement to use, which also leads to the reduction of costs, making it cost effective. Next slide. And my last innovative material is Ferroc. It's a concrete alternative that is not only stronger, but environmentally friendly as well. It's more flexible, less expensive, and will literally absorb carbon emissions instead of creating them like normal concrete. Normal concrete is responsible for almost 5% of the world's overall CO2 emissions. So by using Ferroc as an alternative, that will greatly cut down the CO2 emission percentage, thus being environmentally friendly. Ferroc itself is made of ferrous rock that's highly rich in iron. It's a combination of that and waste steel dust and silica from ground up glass. Iron within dust reacts with the CO2 and rusts, and it begins to rust to form the iron carbonate that is Ferroc itself. The future is bright for Ferroc as smaller projects begin to experiment with capabilities. It is currently being tested at the University of Arizona. And Ironcast, a company looking to invest into Ferroc and begin to use it more on smaller projects, such as marine projects in marine environments. Thank you.
As we move into the ever-changing world of technology, it only makes sense that the infrastructure companies take advantage of this and utilize the technology being made more advanced and readily available for everybody. Many new technologies are becoming more available and more advanced and making them more cost efficient and reliable. With these advances in current technology and new up and coming technology, the infrastructure industry will continuously become safer and more efficient. In this presentation, I will only be discussing a few of the many technologies that will have a significant role to play in the future of infrastructure. Next slide. 3D printing. It is a technology that is already being integrated into today's world. It's becoming more advanced every day, as well as becoming more economical and reliable as well. The image on the right was taken in September in late 2019 of a 3D printed boat here at the University of Maine. While they were printing this boat, they set 2 Guinness World Records, and it only took 72 hours, and the boat weighs 5,000 pounds. Another example of a 3D printed construction is from a construction company, Apis Core, who printed a 2-story building using one machine that was moved with a crane to different areas to be able to reach the areas that needed to be printed. They printed using concrete and they put rebar in as needed. Since it is becoming more advanced, it is expected to become more readily available for many companies to use, along with working with many different materials. Next slide. Augmented and virtual reality. First, augmented reality. This is the difference between augmented and virtual. Augmented reality adds to your vision, and virtual reality replaces your vision. These AR and VR is what they're commonly called, have become very popular in the past few years, and now it is being integrated into the world of construction in several different ways. First, being training. These tech devices can and are being used to train or teach employees without putting them at risk or out in the field before they are ready. It gives them scenarios that they can run through, practice, and become comfortable before performing the real task. These devices also can grant easy access to information at a moment's notice at any time, wherever they are. This process is automatic and updates as they go, depending on the situation or what they need and what the program is in their device. Another way that these will help is they can guide workers as they work. It could be used to show them what they need to do, give them directions. It can, in the image on the right, there's it highlights different components of the machine that they're looking at. And this could easily be used for more advanced work, or even less advanced, just simple tasks, just as reminders or just quick little help sessions. The devices also can be used to take measurements automatically or display critical information such as hazards or warnings in different scenarios. Next slide. Next, I'll be talking about robotics. Robots and automated systems are becoming the future of everything in today's world. And that would only make sense for the construction industry to find a way to incorporate the products in order to improve efficiency, overall costs, and safety. For example, robotic machines that perform tasks as needed typically only have one task, and they only do that one task. But as we move into the future, anything is possible, and they could be programmed to do the entire job if needed. And basically there is no limit at this time. Everything is changing very quickly and rapidly in the robotics and automated machine technology world. An example of this is a construction company who has an automated machine that has one purpose, and that is to tie rebar during bridge construction. The machine saves the company time by the time that the laborers have tied 10% of the rebar within the bridge, the robot has finished the other 90%. Machines like these can reduce risks to workers and improve efficiency at the same time, thus saving money and lowering construction costs if available. Next slide. Some other examples of technology that have made a large impact or will make a large impact. Start with GPS, or global positioning systems. These can be used to feed location-based data to equipment as it's being used, such as heavy machinery, to update location if they need know when to stop, know when to go, know where to go at all times. Next is drones. Drones are becoming very popular, and they can be used to speed up the process of mapping out areas. They can easily take pictures of topographical areas and put it into a program to get it into a CAD system. And they also can help with security purposes and even track other equipment. And lastly, construction wearables. This is a broad term for equipment a worker could wear while working. An example is exoskeletons to prevent fatigue and to give additional support. Smart boots, which are powered by walking and detect workers at risk of collision with construction vehicles equipped with sensors. These devices are not very common. These are just examples that people would like to see become more popular and easily accessible, because they can improve safety of all the workers and they would help a lot. But these are all, you probably won't see them around here anyway. It's not very popular yet. And next, I'm going to hand it off to Mike.
I'm going to be talking about safety. Safety is a reoccurring theme in the topic of new innovations and in infrastructure. Obviously, the number one goal and reason for pretty much all the advances in technologies of any kind is going to be to create a safer environment and a safer workplace to make life easier. Some of these new innovations include, but are not limited to, safety devices on the job site, in the car, and just in everyday life, especially during a global pandemic. And I'm gonna go to the next slide. Going off of what Ben was saying, I'll talk about wearable technologies on the job site. Just like your Apple Watch, wearable technology is developed specifically for on-site work. One piece of safety technology that I chose to highlight is a product called spotter clips. These are probably one of the coolest things that I found in my research on safety innovations. Spotter clips are essentially small devices that can clip onto your belt, pants, or a hard hat. And these wearables, when paired with a mobile app, allow workers to be tracked on site, call for help in an emergency, and they have a built-in gyroscope that can detect falls and alert a supervisor. Additionally, they can help make communication on the job site easier, clearer, and faster. These are pretty exciting, and I hope that we get to see them more in the future. As Ben said, they're not really implemented that much right now. And I'm going to go to the next slide. Going off of what I was just saying about communications and locating different things, I'll now get into V2X communication, which stands for vehicle to everything communication. It's pretty much built on a cloud platform and allows all different types of technologies to communicate with each other and relay important information. This information can include weather, delays, traffic signals, hazards, as well as the locations of pedestrians and other vehicles. We haven't really begun to see the potential that V2X has yet, especially in the construction industry. But hopefully it will be implemented more as self-driving vehicles become more common. Going into the construction industry on this topic, obviously we know it's a very dangerous industry, and this is one chance that we have to make it safer. Some technologies like GPS tracking have already been installed on equipment, and they'll allow the operator to pinpoint the exact location of the machine. Additionally, using some cameras, GPS, and sensors, some machines are actually able to drive themselves and perform small tasks by themselves. As you can see on the bottom right picture there, we have two GPS locators on the blade. And then up top there, that's kind of a picture of V2X, just in broad terms. These smart technologies continue to be developed and implemented all the time, and I believe that in the future, we'll see a lot more vehicles and machinery using it and make a safer environment for everyone. Next, I'm going to go on to talk about safety monitoring systems. Finally, I'll talk about this, and this is going to be really related to the COVID pandemic that we're in right now. These health and safety monitoring systems are starting to pop up all over, whether it's in a doctor's office, office building, and now on construction sites. Oftentimes they're in the form of a kiosk, as you can see on the right there, that uses advanced technologies to scan for people's temperatures and ensure that they're healthy before entering a building or a job site. Other forms of safety monitoring systems are even more advanced, and they're able to identify certain people on a job site, as well as screen for masks and social distancing. These systems create a safer environment by making sure people are following the COVID guidelines and that nobody is showing COVID symptoms is allowed on a job. Finally, these systems eliminate the need for on-site temperature takers that we've seen since COVID has began, and many states require them. And this is going to limit face-to-face contact and save a lot of money for different companies. I'll go next slide. In conclusion, there's lots of new innovations for all different branches of infrastructure and design that continue to make our world a safer place. And I touched on briefly safety innovations in transportation. So I'm going to hand it off to Ben, and he's going to talk about more transportation innovations.
So when you're discussing new innovations for infrastructure, transportation is a large topic of interest. Transportation infrastructure seems to be moving quicker than we can keep up with. Most of the upgrades that are in mind right now are too complicated and too expensive, as well as the problem of running traffic has to be, has to keep going. So in order to prepare for the future of mobility, a normal way of doing things must be rethought, and basically the end goal must be envisioned, and operation models need to be reevaluated. Basically, we need more advanced machines to do most of this type of work. In order to create a new infrastructure standards, we must come in with an open mind. So currently, it's estimated that the European government spends about 50 to 70% of their transportation infrastructure on replacing old damaged systems. In the U.S., of the 416 billion that the U.S. spends on roads annually, 168 billion is spent on highway repair. About, I guess, a little over a quarter, maybe a third. Most of the existing infrastructure is not prepared for the future of transportation. So with all the electrification, automated vehicles, most roadways and railways do not have the facilities for this technology yet. There's a lot of new innovations for technology without a proper way to use them. So in order to advance transportation infrastructure, certain costs must be cut and performances must be reworked, potentially improving cost and efficiency and optimizing projects. Current processes drawn out projects take months or even years before they're operational. If we were to bundle small projects, costs could be improved, and it would take a lot less time. Also, a lot of the operators must realize that most of the technology being used will not support the new transformation of the infrastructure. So using new technology will be the best bet when designing a new system. So some current trends, currently a high speed or bullet train is in progress to potentially travel around the whole world very quickly, like through different countries. This can potentially affect real estate and prices on houses along this route. As new technologies arise in solar power, new innovations arise in the transportation area. Currently in the Netherlands, they're testing on a road surface made out of solar panels. These are meant to power the streetlights and the surrounding like smart infrastructure. So the annual expected yield is around 30,000 kilowatts every 100 meters. Talking about self-driving technology, as it becomes more advanced and accepted, public transportation may change to the self-driving as well. Once this technology is better understood, the room for error will be much smaller, cutting down accidents by eliminating the human error and increasing efficiency. So to kind of tie everything all together, as we continue to progress as a society, our innovations continue to advance in hopes to make life simple, safer, and more productive. New materials, technologies, methods of transportation, and safety designs continue to make everyday life easier and over the next couple of years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.